So this is what we did. Oops. This is what we did in the morning. We were looking at the 2010 survey, the Tanzanian Demographic and Health Survey 2010. It is a massive data set. It has about 10,000 rows and 3,331 attributes. As we said in the morning, it's impossible for a human being to sift through all of this data and try to make sense of it. So one of the first things that we did was to have a quick look at the data out of the available data sets that we had. We isolated the household data. And from this household data, we looked at 27 parameters that are specifically about the household. So the objective here for me was to understand Tanzania, was to understand the conditions that are happening, that are here in the country. And we went through 2 or 3 solid hours this morning with explaining how things were done and if I got them right or wrong. And we had a good time with how many things I got right and how many things I got wrong. But it was very good because it went both ways. We could talk about the things that we did, and then people having the experience of living here would tell us more about would give us the context of the data. So what we're going to do now is we are going to look at how do you visualize these things. If we scroll down in this document, you can see that there are quite a few diagrams that have been generated by the data. So this one, for example, shows the most common types of dwellings that you can find in Tanzania from the available data. So all the categories on the left tell you the floor type, the walls, and the roof. All right? And you can see what is the most common type of building you can find there, the second most common, third most common, and so on, in rural and urban areas. And in the same or a similar vein, if we go down, we're looking at things like, does the house have electricity? What is the average time in minutes to get to the water source? If you are in an urban area, if you are in a rural area. What is the most common, and yeah, we did have a little bit of fun with some of these. So this is time to get to the water source by type of household. This is what sort of water sources are there in urban areas or rural areas. Whether or not the water is treated once you get it from the water source, if houses have a landline, if a house shares a toilet or not, if it does share it, with how many other households does it share a toilet? What type of toilet are they sharing, or what type of toilet are they using? Living conditions in the sense of how many people live in the same household, nearest health facility, nearest market facility, and so on. Now, the question for these sessions, for these 2 sessions, is how do we visualize these things? You might say, well, it's already there. Yeah, that's the first step. That's not the end. This is the beginning. And the question now is going to be, how much information or how many things can you say in one view? All right? In less than 10 seconds. And I'll tell you, you will understand why do you have to be that quick, okay? In the process of doing this, I have put together this this set of notes which take you through the basics, or the things I want to tell you in bullet points. I have to say that this is the beginning. We are only going to scratch the surface. We're only going to say a few basic principles. There are a lot of things to discover, and my personal message would be start creating. Don't worry about right or wrong. Start creating, start sending your work to conferences, start taking part into competitions, because there's no other way of getting feedback and learning than making mistakes. All right? And so I'm going to use this web page and this one to draw some data from. So I'm going to cover the first session with how do you structure a visualizer, how do you compose the visualization, and the second, and in the practical, we're going to try and do it ourselves. Okay, we're going to try and create a poster, create a static visualization with some of these principles that we are now going to get into. So the principles are here in the design process heading, and in the practical, you will get a link to this report, overview of Tanzanian housing conditions. What I usually do on the first day of the visualization course, which this is a part of, I walk into the classroom. I'm usually having, say, a paper that I have found interesting, which is not too big, it's, say, 2 or 3 pages. And I say to the students, read this paper, and you have 1 hour to create a visualization. And I leave. And I come back in an hour. It's an open task. I don't specify what is the output, whether or not you want to use PowerPoint, whether or not you want to use Word, whatever you want to do it. That's up to you. In 1 hour, I come back, and I take what they have created. I don't even look at it, and I pin it up on the board. And then I go into the part that we're going to see now, all right? So we don't have all the time in the world. We don't have 5 days, which is the length of the time that it takes us to do the visualization course. We don't have all the time in the world. So what I'm going to do now is the experiment. This is the 4th or 5th time that I'm running it, and it has worked every time. Let's see if it's going to work in Tanzania, okay? Now, can you hear me here? Can you hear me when I'm not speaking from the amplifier? All right. Now, the other thing is, this is a big venue. It's a lot of people for the kind of thing that I want to do. So this is a first for this experiment in these conditions, okay? Be good with me. Be patient. Right. I am going to be showing you 2 posters every time, one on the right, one on the left. And what I would like you to tell me, we're going to have to find a way, we're going to have to work out a way of doing this because, as I said before, there's a lot of people. Don't think too much. I just want you to tell me left or right. And what you are choosing is the one that is more visually appealing to you. All right? I'm not sure if you will have the chance to see or read what the posters are about. I'm going to leave them here, and you can have a look later on. But at this point, for this experiment, what I want you to tell me is right, left. The right one is the one that's more visually appealing. The left one is the one that's more visually appealing, okay? Visual appeal, don't think too much. No, there's a reason I'm saying this, okay? Do we have a... No, we don't. Okay. Your left or my left? Okay, this one. This one, everyone? This one or this one? Which one is more visually appealing? All right, okay. This is not going to work like that. We're going to have to vote. So how many like this one? How many? I think, are we 50-50 or is this the best we can do? Okay, and how many say this one? So this one. That's why I'm saying it's not going to work like that. We're going to have to find a way to do this sorting. How many of you are in here? We're going to have to find a way to self-organize. Right. This one's the best or this one's the best? This one. Is that 50-50? All right. Okay, hold on. You haven't seen everything. Hold on. Okay. It doesn't really matter. This one. This one, this one. Which one? This one's the best or this one? Visually appealing. Visually appealing. This one is visually appealing. This one. It's your time we're wasting. This one. How many yeses and how many nos? We're going to have to find a way to do this. All right. So this one then. All right. Okay. Έλα δε. Γάμο το. Which one? This one? Yes. More visually appealing? Yes. This one? Yes. More visually appealing? Yes. This one? More visually appealing? Yes. This one? Yes. What the hell? Let's do the last one. Which one? This one? So this one's the winner. Okay. He's right. He's right. The surface is different. So That might be a bit of a bias. All right. Let me make one comment. With very few exceptions, or rather, yeah, I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more, but in the 4 or 5 times that I've run this experiment so far, it has worked every single time. I will consider that it has worked here, but only halfway through. And then I'm going to have to find out why. So the first part has worked, the second part hasn't worked. The part that hasn't worked is that all 4 or 5 times that I have done the same experiment, the order by which the posters are ordered, without me forcing the order, okay? I just ask you, which one do you like? Maps to the chronological order by which the posters were made. So we've got a few reversals here, because that one was done later on, that one was done later on, that one was done later on. So we got the relative order, we got it wrong. But the part that worked is the first one and the last one. So let's say the best of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the worst of the 8. All right? This one is the worst of the 8, and this one is the best of the 8. Incidentally, this one was created first, and this one was created last. This one was created, when did we do the IBDLN? Last August. And this one was created 2009, something. All right? The same person has done all 8 of them. Why is this better than this one? What's the difference? Experience, okay, I'll take that, but hold on. What's the difference between this one and this one? Hold on. This is what we're going to find out today. And the other thing that we do usually in the class is that if I put these two up on a board, that's the course. I can walk out and I can leave. That was bad. Anyway, so this one was created when someone just walked into the office. I said this in the morning. It's a little bit like commando operations. Do this, but do this. And that's how you start to learn. Anyway, this one was a matter of, in 2 weeks, we're going to a conference, do a poster. And this one is 8 years later of doing that thing. So it's a little bit like asking yourself, what makes Picasso and not Athanasios Anastasiou? All right? What makes the difference between these two? Because the difference is in technique. The difference is in knowledge. The difference is being aware of certain things when you do this that you were not aware when you were doing this one. Can we just pick out 1 or 2 things that you find? So my first question was, which one do you find appealing? What I'm going to ask you now is to make it a little bit more specific. Why do you like this one and not this one? The map, all right? The size. Okay. Thank you. Colors. What about them? The arrangement, the colors, the contrast. What else?
It's very easy to discern information.
What was that? It is
Very easy to discern
hello.
information or the message that is being communicated with that.
All right. So here is, we don't have 5 days. So I'm going to be spoiling the surprises, because in 5 days the surprises are coming a little bit one by one. So here is the thing. This thing is a tool. This thing is a tool for you. And this tool is about grabbing the attention of the viewer and manipulating it. What you want your viewers to do is to understand your message. The trick is to look at this one and tell me what's the first thing that you see. What's the first thing that you see? Where do your eyes go first? The human being. This is not about human being. This is about the complete ambient assisted living experiment, whatever that means. No. We are going to decompose the failure here. All right? What else is going on here? There are too many figures. So you don't know where to look. Right? Okay, let's put that aside for a minute. What's happening here? What's the first thing that you see? The map, all right. And then all right. This one is not perfect. You're still learning. I'm sure Picasso was still learning until the last day. And I will come back on why I mentioned Picasso or why I mentioned people from the world of art rather than people from the world of technology. I'll come back to that. And I'm not making any parallels between me and Picasso, but you'll see why I'm saying it in a minute. So in this one is engineered. This one, I am attracting your attention to what I want you to see. This one is built for saying a specific thing. So you've got a map, you've got a list on the right. This one. The list goes from top to bottom. All right? And it is in chronological order. So there are the other thing is that the size of the letters, as you can see, the heading has the highest, then smaller headings, smaller letters, and so on, boxes down, and some of the QR codes further down in the middle. Again, this is built to get you close. This is built to get you to look at it. All right? Dead. All right. This one. What do you see? What's the first thing that you see? The pie chart. All right? But here I'm pulling another trick. Some letters are solid black. Some letters are a little bit gray. Okay? Again, it's about attention. This thing, is going to go in a room full of posters. Why should someone look at your poster and not someone else's? And when I am in a conference, I've got my bag, I've got my laptop, I'm holding all these things, maybe I'm meeting as well. It's like 4 hours since I got jet lag or whatever, and I'm walking into the room full of posters. And this is how I see posters that other people have sweat to produce, right? This is how I'm seeing the posters. How much time do you think you have in front of a poster? All right? So the trick is to grab the attention. Okay? So if your title runs, a pilot study of the use of routinely held... that's it, you're gone already. All right? A pilot study of the use of routinely held NHS clinical data to identify and diagnose the... You know? Identification of undiagnosed dementia, boom. End of story. If you're interested, you're going to come a little bit closer. What you will see is data, methodology, results. but you won't be able to see the little gray letters because I want you to come closer. By the time you are at the level where you are reading the little letters, I've started talking to you. That's what I want. Okay? Posters and conferences are for networking. That's what you don't want to answer all the questions, because otherwise I'm just sitting there reading. There is no way I'm going to sit in front of a poster and read it in a conference. No way. So there's no way that I'm going to read the poster as a paper, as a paper that goes in a journal. No way. Especially when I'm loaded and with all these things, and I'm chewing stuff, and I have been jet lagged, whatever. So these are some of the things that I have created. I'm going to leave these there. And then it is a little, oops. We have it? So it is, and then it is a little bit like, if you don't know about something, you just, whatever, yeah. And then when someone alerts your attention to it, it's like, so it's a little bit like cannot unsee. All right? Once you are alerted to the existence of these little tricks, you cannot not see them, or you cannot not take them into account. And they are everywhere. And the reason I'm talking about the world of art, and the world of marketing, and the world of pictures that are to do with, movie posters, advertisements, is because these people are masters of manipulation of attention. A work of art is trying to convey a message. So the artist has to find ways of getting you to see what the artist means. All right? Again, when you are working in advertisement, the person who is putting together, who is doing the photography or who is doing the art and everything, they get you to see what they want you to see. So we're going to see here a few examples. Because as I said, once you realize some things, you see them everywhere. Oh, excellent. I think this is going to take a little bit of time. All right. Aha, this is why. No, that's all right. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you. I think, who has luck to connect on DSA 1 or DSA 2? Which one are you guys using? DSA 01. Right. Oh, there we go. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll come back. Thank you very much. All right, so we will come back. Okay. Okay. The question remains: what's the difference between these two? What are the little things behind putting together more efficient visualizations? No? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh. All right. Or you can do a hotspot.
Yeah.
All right. What is it called? Whoops.
Everyone has to see my password.
No, they won't, because this one's a... Let's see. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So, as I said before, cannot unsee. All right. These are pictures that I've taken in conferences that I have been. I have not removed the authors, but we're not going to make fun of them. We're not going to laugh at their expense. We are just going to try and take these as examples. And I don't care if it says UCL or Oxford or I don't know, whatever, or even mine. I mean, you know, these authors, these creators are in a different journey. I mean, if a child is starting to learn to draw, you don't laugh at their expense because then they're going to drop it. All right, they're not going to want to draw again. The experience will be ruined. So this is not about laughing at them, but this is about taking the message, taking the example. All right. So for some of them, it's a matter of saying, "What were you thinking?" You know. I don't know what's going on here. And if you start reading it, you will see that it's an interesting bit of work. But the visualization or the composition, the layout, is completely letting it down. I'm not going to stand in front of this to read it. First of all, it's printed in glossy paper. And as you can see on the top, the glossy paper will start having reflections. And depending on the lighting that you have in the venue, glossy paper is going to ruin the message. None of these posters is glossy because we found this out the hard way. All right? What is the title? Yeah, I don't even know what this is about. I'm not gonna go close. You know? What's wrong? What is wrong? Beyond, I know it's like, you know, but what is wrong? What's the learning? What do we get out of it? Can you see the title? All right, and I haven't tried, you know, I'm not trying like, oh, this is a better angle, or maybe I should, no, it's just, this is what you see. You go in front of it, bang, you get a picture, that's what you see. All right? What's this guy thinking? Anyway. These things have happened. You know, this has happened. It's not fiction. All right? What's going on here? What is the message? What do I want you to see? Probably the background is distracting, isn't it? It's taking your eyes away. You want to see the content, and it's like, hold on, is this a keyboard? And all right? This one. What do I want you to see here? All right? What else? The human skull. Yeah. What is this poster proud of? Yeah. The results. the biggest element in the middle. That's what I want them to see from afar, all right? So the results. Someone said the title. Both the results and the title are big. Use size, right? Because it creates hierarchy. And that's the, you know, maybe someone says, big deal. Yes. You know, if you don't, and this is what happens when you don't adhere to it. All right? So, by using size, by using scale, you can direct the attention. All right? There are some in here. And they were the earlier ones. What about this one? The point to note here, I mean, it's not a perfect one again, but it's about a catchy title with huge letters that will attract you to come closer. Once you are closer, you start reading these, then these headings help you to focus. You are very likely to see either this one or this one. Your attention will be grabbed by either this one or this one. And by the time you're close, then you can start absorbing the message. Absorbing the message. What's the message here? Honestly, I don't know what's the message here, and I don't know why they did it this way, you know? All I see is words. Chicken, this, that, beer, pogo stick, horse, whatever. And probably what they want you to do is say, we use good oil. Our chickens eat well. Our chickens eat well. British farming, I don't know. I don't know where it begins and where it ends. Prepared fresh every day, probably. Is like, okay, all right. Now, there are two things. One is the direction of attention, okay? I want to grab your attention, but then there's another thing. Convenience. Convenience. There is a great book on the subject called Don't Make Me Think. It's about designing graphical user interfaces. Don't make me think. If you want me to press a button, make it big and clear that you want me to press a button. Don't put it behind a thing that you have to fight with a monkey and then click this one and then, you know, like you click and then there is an animation and then something happens, then shh, there's a sound. Why? Because I'm getting tired. For those of you that have been to the UK, how many times have you read everything that the train is trying to tell you when you're getting off the train? The train is like a collage of messages. Don't stick your head out of the window. Be careful because sometimes the train might stop and the platform is not going to be outside. In the case of an emergency, turn around, open the door, and get out of the train with your back on the thing. Don't press this button because there is a fine. Don't do this, don't do that. Press this button to go to the toilet. It's like, I'm not going to read all these things. I've got stress trying to understand what is happening here. Right? Or you go to a hospital. And the hospital is an accumulation of problems, right? Or an accumulation of, and then you have a sign that says, no, the department now for urology is that way, or the third floor, but actually we moved it, now it's on the ground floor. And this way to the water, that way to the toilets. I'm getting sick just because of looking at all of these signs, you know? I need care because I'm looking at all these signs. So your brain is trying to make sense of this thing. It's trying to make sense of every scene. Your brain is trying to make sense of what it sees. And there are a lot of things that are going on when you are seeing a picture or a visualization or anything. Your brain constantly, or rather, the visual and the auditory system constantly try to communicate with your memory. Have I seen this before? What does it mean? How is it structured with relationship to its surroundings? Why is this close to something else? Why is this close with something else? Why are these apart? Why is this black? Why is this white? Why is this red? And the more difficult you make it to your audience to absorb this message, the more they're going to run away. All right? The more they're going to run away from the message. And what is the message? The message is all of this research that you have spent nights and days doing. And in the last mile, it's not going to work. All right? And you know, sometimes you get to appreciate some of the things that are done by the maybe masters of the trade. This is a poster. I have no idea what it says. I think that it's about a theatrical play. It is in Chinese. But keep it in mind, because we're going to come back to this, and we're going to see why is this working. To an extent, I have to say, some of these things come down to personal preference and culture. It's not necessary that we will have the same view on which colors, for example, are good together. That's not a problem. That's the beauty of it, because you are going to create different things than someone on the other side of the world. But there are some things which are universal, and these are the sort of principles we're going to try and tap into during this lecture. I'll come back to this. Again, oops. This thing is lighter than these. So you sort of gravitate towards that. And then from there, you follow the splash. Doink, 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 doink. And the advert just made you go through the message. All right? Always Coca-Cola. Bang, it's stuck. Why not always ordinary least squares? Which is what you guys want to get your audience to say. Obviously, I need a ladder. This is taller than me. And it's glossy. So, you know, I have already I don't know what it said. And then once in a while, you know, you come across some more. Because over here, I am going to read the title, which is very clear. I am going to see what these say, and then maybe see these diagrams, and then go into the text. There is already too much text, which means effort. All right. So these are the bullet points. attention, effort and convenience. Just give them what you want to say. It's a little bit like saying, cancer is a very big problem in the world. Cancer, as XYZ said, is can be found in the breast or the lung. Cancer is blah, blah, blah. The objective of this study is, don't get me to read to the 4th paragraph to understand what's the objective of the study. Put it first. The objective of the study is to do this, boom. And then put the rest of the rationale and the thing. I'm getting into reading a document or reading a poster, and I have no idea what it is about until I'm reaching, say, the 4th or the 5th paragraph. So attention, effort. These are the two things we are balancing. These are the two things we're balancing. And what we have here is the first secret of putting together a visualization, and that is the use of a layout grid. I'm going to come back on how do you structure a grid. But that's a poster you probably have seen. Okay, it's there. It's this one. It's not the best example. But there is a grid behind this one, which means that all the elements are ordered on this piece of paper in a specific way, not ad hoc, which is how this thing is created. And to understand what does the grid help you to do, all of these start at the same point. They also end at the same point. This poster has a skeleton. It is divided into zones horizontally. Zone number 1, this one. Zone number 2, this one. Zone number 3, this one. Every zone is further subdivided into something that happens on the left, which is the text, and the images on the right. The images on the right are, the space, this space, which is reserved for images, has an odd number of cells, so that this goes bang in the middle. And these don't look odd, they look symmetrical. All right? One, two, three, four, 5. So that 1, 2, 3 leaves 1, 2, 1, 2 on either side. It is engineered this way. It's not luck. And it started from observation, from personal observation. When you see at these visualizations or these infographics and you are thinking, what the hell? Why can't I create something like this? And the reason is because you don't have the training. You don't have the graphic design training that graphic designers and artists do for a living. And use these concepts day in, day out. So this is the use of a grid layout. This is a very simple grid layout. It's it's got columns and rows, but the thing that I want you to notice here is the module. So the module is that little rectangle. When you start putting your text or images or any graphic elements on the piece of paper, you align it to the modules. And this creates rhythm. And as it creates rhythm, it organizes the information into small, easily digestible chunks. All right? The module has a little bit of white space around it. And this is what sets it apart from the rest of the modules. All right? And you can have And more than one modules create zones. So if we go to here, you can see that certain elements, again, there is an odd number of modules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that the fourth leaves 3 on either side. And this one is bang on in the middle and symmetric. This one still has errors. Theoretically, you're not supposed to overrun the margins, which I have. But overall, we are trying to keep to the grid. And again, this one is a problem, but it was impossible to make this one smaller because then it was vanishing and so on. Here is another thing. Text and images are aligned. They start and end at the same margin. All the paragraphs start and end at the same level. These are the bigger letters, these are the smaller letters. The bigger letters are aligned, the smaller letters are aligned too. This width is roughly the same width as the letters above it. This width as well. So the grid is an incredible tool. And this is where we come back. This is one of the things where when you get those little posters that we talked about in the beginning, when the students are coming in, I just give them a paper and I say, you've got 1 hour to do a poster, goodbye. I come back in an hour, I don't even look at those. If you take the same amount of information and you pay a little bit attention and you structure it on a grid, you will see the difference immediately. The difference between I don't know where to look and okay, I think I can make sense of it. We're not done. So after every one of these, let's say, bullet points, I've got some of the things, some useful resources. I realized very quickly, or rather very late, that a great website called Movie Posters by Numbers is actually now down. I have contacted the author to say, your website is down, but probably they know that it is down and they don't want to do anything about it. But anyway, these are the people who took, I think, hundreds of posters, and they started categorizing them by what font do the posters use, what sort of layout do they use, what are the color combinations, how do they structure their content, and so on. And if you were, I think we can still find some. You see, this is the static thing. This is what the website was about. And if we start drawing grids over the movie posters, you will see that they don't fail at all. They all land on the lines. They all respect certain rules. So the link is there. I'm hoping that at some point the website is going to come back. This layout is called a grid. And there have been books written just on the grid, all right? And this is a website which is all devoted to the grid system. And actually, they have changed, oh, there we go. They have changed the layout. Now, you might say, whatever, posters, movie posters, and Picasso, and drawings, and all of that. The grid is everywhere. You don't see it. That's the beauty of it. You don't see it, but you do perceive it, all right? So, this is Bootstrap. This is a template, and a very popular template, for putting together websites. It is actually structured around a grid. So these parts here, as you can see, they're not going to sit wherever they want. They will sit in specific columns. And the website is organized in horizontal regions. Spend a little bit of time just looking at what is happening here. You know, we've got content organized in the middle of the screen, and then across in zones. You will read it this way, from top to bottom, left to right, irrespectively of culture, of aesthetics, or whatever. A lot of websites are built on Bootstrap, are using Bootstrap. This is the 960. Again, there have been so many arguments like why 960 pixels. I'm not going to go into this, but again, the website is structured according to specific rules. We stick to these rules. And if we, can I click? No? Right, that's what I'm. It's not at random. It's not luck. It lands exactly on the columns and exactly on the on each element. So this thing, for example, occupies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. That's why I'm saying cannot unsee. Then you look at an advertisement and you start looking into, where's the grid? Why are these two aligning? Or I do anyway, maybe I'm OCD or I don't know. So the grid is there. Even if you don't see it, you do perceive it. Information organized in small chunks to direct the attention, to minimize the effort to convey your message. Let's move on. What do we have here? So this is Twitter Bootstrap and 960 pixels. It will make a difference the next time you design a website to use one of these templates. First of all, you do away with problems like, should it be blue or red? Is this big enough? Should I move it to the left? Should I move it to the right? Just decide what you want to put, what sort of information you want to put on that piece of screen or on that piece of paper, and the template will organize it for you. So, can we go? Yeah. So what I have here is a layout helper. It's a little tool which starts in Excel, and it will help you to create a grid. Because Inkscape, for example, which is the piece of software we're going to use to put together our visualization, Inkscape has the grid there. PowerPoint has a grid, but it is laughable, and it's behind 23 clicks. You know, it's like, why can I not enable this thing from the beginning? I'm not sure if MS Word does have a grid, but Inkscape, being a drawing program, will it's one of the things that is like, it's taken very seriously. You will see what I mean. And we live in the world of, now machine learning and all of these. The machine is going to learn from our preferences, optimize an objective function, and all of that. Certain things have started appearing already. So I've got here, oh, that might load a little bit slowly, but anyway, this is an AI program that optimizes layout. So it's a little bit like a program, an algorithm, which is created to take the pain of structuring content out of your hands. And just, it's a little bit like what we did before. Do you like this? No. Do you like this? No. Do you like this? No. Do you like this? It's a little bit like an optimization. We don't know the curve we are tracking, but the algorithm will find the optimal way of positioning the elements. All right, so number one, grid, layout. The grid, the rectangular grid, is not the only thing you can use to structure your content. There is the Z direction, there are the radial ones, there are all sorts of things, but we're scratching the surface, so that's one thing. We didn't speak about negative and positive space, but we will do in the practical. Now let's see a little bit about composing the visualization. Remember what I said about culture? These are universal things. It doesn't have to do with whether you are coming predominantly from the African continent and we are coming from another, or different audiences coming from different places. These things here, called Gestalt Laws, are universal. That's the way the brain works. And this is very much related to the way that the brain perceives a scene. So what is happening is that our senses generate impulses, and they are fed to the brain. So the brain is bombarded all the time with a huge amount of information from the eyes, from the ears, from the sensory system, and is sorting them out and trying to make sense of them, right? Especially for the visual system, we've got the Gestalt Laws. They are a set of laws that govern how the brain perceives information. Let's look at them very, very briefly. The law of proximity, again, is a little bit like, wow, big deal. Yes, it is big deal. Elements placed closely together tend to be perceived as a group. Elements placed closely together tend to be perceived as a group. Perceived as a group. This thing says something, this thing says something else, this thing says something else. They are apart from each other because they do not belong to the same, they don't say the same message. This is English, this is Japanese? Chinese? Chinese, I think. Okay. Okay? So this is the Chinese version, this is the English. You will notice that over here we've got these letters, gap, these letters, gap, these letters. If the gap grows smaller, we're going to start perceiving it as one thing. And we don't have to talk about images here. Just look at the words. The characters are together, are closely together, are perceived as one word. Words which are closely together are perceived as one line. Lines that are closely together are perceived as a paragraph. Paragraphs construct pages, and so on. All right? If you start messing around with the white space between the characters, you create stress. And I will show you, like, practically what that means when we come to speak about typography. Okay? Let's go to the next one. The law of similarity. Oh, sorry. So, the head and the instrument are very closely together. They're perceived as saying the same message. That's one group, that's another group. The cloud and the database are closer together. The cloud and the database are closer together than these elements, which I want them to be perceived separate. I want these to be perceived as closely related, but these as separate. And the same on this side. Okay? Unraveling the magic. By the end, it's going to be like, you know, I can do it too, that's what I want you to say. The law of closure. Elements tend to be grouped into complete figures. This is just, you know, this is not a triangle. These are three sectors. You are creating the triangle. You see the triangle. All right? And, you know, you can take it to the extreme. There is no white triangle here. It's just lines. We tend to create the image ourselves. We see things that are not there. I see dead people. Okay? Look at that one. There is no cube there. These are just odd pie charts. Or not odd pie charts, very nicely placed pie charts. There's no cube there. We make it up. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Can't find it. Okay, the law of closure. The law of good continuation. Even more freaky things about to see. The law of good continuation. Elements tend to be grouped as to minimize change or discontinuity. Okay? No. Do you see a straight line and an S thing? Although they are in different colors. And there is no dinosaur in there, or at least that's what I see. These things are there. They are at work all the time. When you see adverts, they are there all the time. The supermarket will put things side by side in the shelves. Why would you pick one product and not another? Okay? Let's go on. The law of symmetry. Regions bound by symmetrical borders tend to be perceived as coherent figures. This one's my favorite. Let's look at it. Let's look at the thing again. Law of symmetry. Regions bounded by symmetrical borders tend to be perceived as coherent figures. this versus this one. One space, another space, another space, as defined by symmetrical borders. The law of simplicity, that probably should have been first. Ambiguous elements tend to be resolved in favor of the simplest, right? Is this a hexagon or a cube? All right? Now here's the thing. Sometimes, I don't know if you have noticed it, but sometimes you see something and you cannot decide what is going on. Am I looking the inside view of the cube or am I looking the outside view of the cube? And you can flip it in your mind. You can say, I choose to see one thing, and then flip it, okay, I choose to see another thing. Okay? It's a little bit like with the brain having equal hypotheses. So two things, two versions of reality that fit through the same perceptory data. And that's when you flip the coin and you say, well, it's either this or that. Either of these choices is good with me, right? So I can look at it as turning in one way or turning in another way. I think that's a JPEG. Now, I don't know if it's going to work at this level, at this size of a screen, but if you take a look at this figure, there are two ways to see it. One is that it rotates clockwise, the other one is that it rotates counterclockwise. So I see it as turning counterclockwise. Okay. Now, this is not a pill. This is not a drug. You're not going to immediately get it and like, oh, I'm going to create the best visualizations. All right? It takes work. And you have to make mistakes, and then next time, see the mistake, correct the mistake, and so on. But knowing the rules is important. Knowing the rules, you can start breaking the rules. We'll come back to that in a minute. So you know, things like this one doesn't stick to the rules. And it shows. And it's penalized. It doesn't stick to the rules. This one is not perfect, but sticks to the rules more than the other one. Sticks to these things that we were talking about before. Things that you want them to be grouped together, put them closely. If you want these to be perceived as different things, leave some space. Let it breathe. Leave some space. Give some opportunity to the viewer to understand what is it that you're showing to them. Okay? All right. What else do we have here? And I've got some useful resources here. Now, this is where we're going to start getting a little bit into some details. This is the Lotto Lab, which I think is in UCL. And these people are studying the visual system, and they are studying things like how can you fool the visual system. And they have a large number of ways to fool the visual system. Where are they? No. Cannot have changed this much. Oh, there we go, illusions. Do you see this? I'm sure that you're looking at it and you see two different colors on the pages. They are not different. They are the same color. See what happens? When you look at it this way, different color. When you look at it this way, same color. Actually, what is happening is, this is the same thing. So how you put things close by affect one another. The Lotto Lab has a very large number of illusions. The reason I'm telling you about these things is because inadvertently, you can create an illusion just by putting things together on a poster and giving the wrong message. All right? Let's move on to text. Let's move on to text. Now, this has been a revelation for me. Text. How many of you think text as something important? Whatever, Arial, Times New Roman, so what? Comic Sans. So what? It doesn't matter. If I didn't go into this, if I didn't start thinking about what are the differences and all of that, I wouldn't have discovered that there are actually about 26 terms describing a font. Go on. And people who are designing fonts, that's what they do day in, day out. 26 parameters that affect how the font looks like. And it's like, whatever, 14, bold, italic, boom, out of the way. I don't care. Okay? Now, there is, oops, I think I went through this thing. So very recently, there was an experiment run by the New York Times. And what they did is that they put some phrases, they put some messages in different fonts. But there was a catch. So they put things that are untrue in serious-looking fonts, and things that were perfectly valid and true in Comic Sans. Woohoo! You know? And people were agreeing with the ones that were in the serious-looking font, because it's serious-looking, and so whatever it says is serious. So you can find out about the whole thing. I mean, it's an excellent read. And it's an excellent read because it's a little bit like a person doing magic in front of you, and it's like, do it again, do it again. No, do it again, and this time I'm going to get it. But you know, that's the truth of the matter, that the font, the choice of font affects how you perceive the message. It's like, what? So you can see the impact of different fonts on this. The choice of font is important. So in this case, for example, this was going to go on. This went on a specific exhibition, which was all about a university, and the trick was to download the font that the university was using. So this is done with the font that the university was using, just to blend with the rest of the surroundings, which we knew were going to be in a specific font. All right? Fonts matter. And now you might say, whatever, I have to select the grid, I have to select the thing, I have to select the font, I have to do this, well, yeah, that's the art. That's how it works. And there are some tools here that can help you structure your visualizations. So we've got Readable, which is an online tool that helps you estimate how readable a piece of text is, a piece of text that you are creating. It might even tell you things like you are using very, very, very long words, a very small font size, or whatever else. And then what I would like to draw your attention to is this one called Asymmetrica. And if we see, there we go. All right, so before, after, before, after. So what is this? This is a service that will look at your website and optimize the spacing between the characters. the spacing between the characters. Someone has actually sat down and looked into that subject, how does the brain perceives the spacing between the characters and what is the impact. And they've now, created something like this. And they claim, and I haven't checked it myself, contrary to some other things that I have used myself, and I can say, yeah, I did perceive some sort of change. But they claim that this thing improves 8 to 12% your conversions, which means people staying on your website and interacting with the content. Just with one tiny little difference. And text has a very large number of parameters and a very large impact on what you are structuring and how you are structuring it. And since we are in the subject of machine learning, this is a very interesting bit of work that was done, which will help you choose fonts that go nicely together. And it is all based on clustering. It is a great application. So 1, 2, 3 different fonts, but they look great together. And if I say generate here, you get another matching font. Generate. Working, reverse engineering the magic, what's happening in the brain. Right. And I think it's the final thing, which is the role of color. Again, just as it happens with scale and a few other things, you can use color to grab the attention of your reader. All right? Color does have, okay, in Africa, what is the color red? What does it mean? Blood, danger, probably, right? Is it a color which is associated with joy or sadness or sorrow? In China, for example, wedding dresses are red because it's a color which is associated with good luck and joy. All right? This is what I'm asking. Things that make sense in Africa that may be not the same when you look at other parts of the world. So how we perceive color, how we encode color, how we relate color, how do we use color in visualizations is very important. I'm not going to go into aesthetics, which is, I like this one versus this. That's down to personal style, okay? You like some combinations of colors, that's fine. But the thing is that one of the things that we want to be aware is that there are people who have visual impairments, and they mix red and green, or red and blue, or other combinations. So imagine that you are putting your message out there on a poster, but the person cannot even perceive it because they see gray, or because they see different colors, or because they see the letters start jumping around, just because of the color. So have you ever experienced this thing of, what's going on here, when you see blue letters on red background? The letters almost appear as floating. That's because blue and red are opposite sides of the spectrum, and as they go through the lens, they focus in different planes on the back of the eye, so the brain is like, it cannot decide what is going on here. Is one closer than the other? What is happening? So if you see red on blue, it's a little bit like, no, never. Okay, I don't know if you if you guys have a preference for red or blue. Well, please don't do it. And this is interesting from the point of view of relating culture and color. So this is a color wheel, and these are, I'm not sure we can see them very clearly. So this is a color wheel with the color and what it means in different cultural contexts. No, I am trying to. So, all right. So these are the colors all around, and these are letters here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Each one of these radiuses is a culture. Western American, Japanese, Hindu, Native American, Chinese, Asian, Eastern European, Muslim, African, South American. So if I go to A41, is a specific type of red. A41, if you look at 41, is heat. So in the Western culture is associated, red, this shade of red is associated with heat, whereas if we see C is Hindu, C41, oh, sorry, yeah, this is the same meaning for the culture in each sector. B40, so 40 is the concept of healthy. So purple is healthy for the Japanese, right? And so on. One of the things that I want to focus about color is about attention, right? The more colors a visualization has, the more you lose your audience. Not even this one. I've got a worse one. I can't believe we lost the worst one. Did someone pinch the worst one? Did someone go, no, this is not the worst one, this is the best one? Okay, this must be the worst one then. So, this is like a festival of colors. Blue and green, and put some yellow, and I'll have this one as well, and this one, and this one, and this one. Well, the guidelines, and you will see some of these guidelines in some of the books that I'm providing in there, something like 3 or 4 colors. Three or four colors. Maybe already too much. And some of the resources we have here are all about selecting colors. Now, as we said before, you can go ahead, you can do your color selection in whatever way you want. There are specific for example, I want hue, which again is about creating palettes and selecting colors. So I want 3 colors. Again, based on clustering. which will help you select 3 matching colors which are also in contrast. So it's a little bit like an easy choice. What do I want to do? I want to do a visualization. I want 3, 4, 5 colors. I'm taking the easy solution. So I want hue is one of them. Couleurs, or I don't know, I'm probably getting the accent wrong. Does it need to log in? I don't care, go away. Go away. Oh, there it is. So this one is a great website. You can waste hours on it. All right, so it gives you an initial selection from which you can say, well, I want to keep this one. And I think it's hit enter. All right, with spacebar. And you get another set of colors, and maybe you can say, okay, I like this one. Hit another one, give me more colors. Oh, I like this one, more colors. Oh, I like that one, more colors, more colors, more colors, more colors. And that one. But every time that you hit the spacebar, it creates matching colors, things that make sense from a point of view of matching these different hues and these different colors. All right? Color lovers is the same thing. Color mind is another application of clustering to select colors for visualizations. But this one is on real things. So from books, from websites, from movies. Oops. Click generate, you get another palette. Click generate, you get another palette. And you can see the palette in action. See, this is how it's going to look like. This light pale green on the background and the blue on that button and that background there. So certain things already reverse engineer the brain, and that's it. You don't have to think. All right? But I'll tell you another thing. Still it. Start looking at things and taking pictures. If you like a color combination, still it. It's very hard to create new color combinations and matching. If you like what you see, keep it in an archive. And gradually you will start to find out things about yourself. Why do I like, for example, I've got specific colors that I tend to gravitate when, also pale white and red. Red on pale white is like my default. So as you're browsing the internet, as you're browsing in reality, take pictures, save, take screenshots. Of course, still like an artist, not, which is a whole book, by the way. No, it's a whole book, which means I saw it, I like it, I'm not going to replicate it, I'm going to be inspired by it. And I'm going to use it in my own context. And especially when it comes to colors, you will see that if it works on a website, it doesn't mean that it will work on your website. If it works on someone else's art, it doesn't mean that it will work on your art. Okay? This is why I'm saying again, I'm not going to turn you into, Picasso overnight. I wasn't turned into Picasso overnight, and I think it's a journey. You just have to start. But the key message is control the attention of your audience. decide what do you want to say first, what do you want to say second, what do you want to say third. Just as it happens with talks, and I think I have overrun my time, you have specific time to say a message. So you have to decide what are you going to tell them in 5 minutes. What are you going to tell them in 2 minutes? Twitter, 140 characters. What are you going to say in these 140 characters? And make it count. So, you know, A2, A1, A0, A4. That's how much space you have. What do you want to put in this space? What is your message? What is your primary message? What is your secondary message? How are you going to structure that? How are you going to affect hierarchy? Because hierarchy grabs the attention of the person and directs it. It's literally like grabbing someone from the eyes and saying, you will see this thing first, then you will see that, then you will see this, then you will see this. And you're not even touching them. It's like magic, okay? It works in photography as well, very much. So our thinking goes towards hierarchy, message, how do I grab the attention of my audience, how do I take the attention to where I want them to go. And turning now to the practical, that's what we are going to try and do. So what I'm going to ask you when you're back is, first of all, to install Inkscape. If you don't have Inkscape, we have it on a stick, and we can distribute it to everyone. So this is Inkscape. I have the Windows version, both in 64 and 32-bit. It's a great program. It's a little bit like Illustrator, but it is free. It is free as in beer, free as in speech, free, all right? And it's a great piece of software. By the way, all of these posters have been created using Inkscape. It's a little bit like photography. You don't need a pricey camera to take nice pictures or to create nice art. You can just pay attention to the laws, pay attention to the rules. So we're going to install Inkscape, and then we're going to turn, I've got this thing here, the overview of Tanzanian housing conditions. And just as we said in the morning, it's like a playground. You can say so many things. You can say so many stories. You can select some of the diagrams from here and select what you want to tell us. What story do you want to say? And structure that visualization according to the rules according to the things we just said. And don't stop today. Keep doing it. Go to competitions, create posters. It doesn't matter if people will laugh or they'll tell you, oh, big deal or whatever. It doesn't matter, take it on board. The next one is going to be better. The next one's going to be better. The next one's going to be better. And at some point, people are going to be spending time in front of your poster for good reasons, all right? And more importantly, reading your message, all right? That's what we want to do, okay? So it's a little bit like releasing the secret out there, and now I'm going to pitch 80 persons to each other and just say, okay, who's going to tell me who's going to give me the most clear or the most accurate message? So that's what we're going to do when we are back. Have I overrun? Yeah. All right, yeah. Okay, so this is it from me for now. And when we are back, we're going to install Inkscape. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you're going to set up your grid, and then it's up to you to tell us about a message, okay? All right, let's take our break.